Hello, welcome to February 18th, 2026. It's a Wednesday. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video broadcast exercise that I do every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which I've shared in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and the opportunities that I met. I go over my creed and I prepare for the coming day. But first, a big thank you to my new, welcome to you, new YouTube subscribers, and a big thank you to my YouTube supporters and my members over on Patreon. I really do appreciate all of you. I do. This is a journal entry, so of sorts. So I have liberty to go anywhere I want, and I do sometimes talk about sensitive subjects like death. So be forewarned. Is there anything else? I'm a little out of it. The allergies have struck, and I suffer from seasonal allergies pretty badly, and when they do, man, they wipe me out. The allergies really came on yesterday, and so I took my medicine this morning, so I should be all right with the overt symptoms, but I do feel a little wiped out. But there's more to it than that. I'll get into that in just a second. Is there anything else I need to do before I get started? Oh, I do read and respond to comments at the end. Okay, jumping right into it. So, looking at the last 24 hours, I have three notes that are interesting. They tell a story in of themselves, I think. The first note says, "Another nice day," as if that was an observation. It is an observation, but as if it was almost a disappointing observation. I guess I do like the challenge. I like I like it when things are a little, which is going to sound strange when you hear the other thing I have to say, but I do like a challenge. Maybe that's the thing that has been the focus point of my life is living a challenged life. You know, challenged to raise a family, to sustain a career, to get to the point of being able to retire, all that stuff. Hmm. And another nice day is kind of like, well, it's just like you get across the finish line, and it's just another peaceful day. Yumiko, my wife, has no problem with that at all. She is really enjoying being retired, and she just has the most fun every day. It's, I think she looks at me kind of askew sometimes. It's like, why are you struggling, Kurt, with freedom? Why don't you just be free and enjoy yourself? Maybe I need to take lessons from her and from others, some of the regulars here that watch this. So another nice day. Interesting how I wrote that down like that, like almost like a complaint. Well, watch out what I complain about for, right? And then the next note says, very little challenge. And then there's a second part, a comma. Though I did a lot. Very little challenge, though I did a lot. It was a busy day yesterday. And then the third line says, should I be worried? That's the punchline there, or the cautionary part. Yesterday was, and I'm going to get onto the second part in just a second. Yesterday was a very full day. It was. I taught 4 lessons back to back through the morning from 8:30 till noon, which wiped me out. I'm definitely out of practice with work. And the double part of that is that I have 2 jobs. I have the very part-time job that I work downtown teaching English, and then I have another online English teaching gig where people can sign up for lessons. Between the two of those this week, because one of the teachers at my first job is out this week, between those 2 jobs, this is the first week since I retired that I'm working every single day of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm working. Not a lot, but I am working. And that flavors the week because it means that every morning is punctuated by morning work activities. Interrupting my normal routine and carrying the day with thoughts about what I need to do and for my obligations and responsibilities related to work. And here's the second part that I promised to talk about. That I'm not liking it. It's like I had a fantasy that I missed work, and that I wanted to go back and do some more of that again. That it was something that kind of gave me a reason to get up in the morning and do stuff. And so I've got what do they say about being careful what you wish for and what you do? And here I am, and I'm back in it. And yeah, there's a reason I dreamed for 40 years to stop doing this. It's because it's hard, and it takes a lot out of you, and even it's even harder when you've taken a long break. And now I imagine that with a little bit of time and effort, I could find my sea legs, my work legs again. But at the same time, I think there's a reason that people my age begin to drop off the work roles. It's because our innate capability and our tolerance for this type of living has reduces down, whether we like it or not. Anyway, this is all a long-winded way to say that although this yesterday and this week so far have not been punctuated by overt challenges that I need to review and apply my values to, it is instructive as far as rediscovering how much I don't like to work. And even though work has some side benefits for me, I don't want to be doing this, at least not very much. I think the thing is the two classes on Tuesday and then the English club on Thursday. So that's 2 days a week. I think that's good. I can do that at least for a year, at least through 2026. The reason this is important that I'm talking about this right now is that I'm having a suspicion that the school might need more of my time, the school that I work at. And I told them that I would work as a substitute on a substitute teacher availability, which is one of the reasons I'm so busy this week. Yesterday and today, I'm subbing for another teacher. I continue to do that. I'm going to keep this current configuration through all of 2026. So I'll work my Tuesdays and I'll work my Thursdays. I'll come in and sub when they need me, and I'll do the other thing. I'm gonna hold this configuration for the whole year. But if I'm asked during the course of the year, and this is really really good that I'm getting this clearly laid out in my mind, doing this publicly. This is where doing this publicly really helps because I'm forced to because you don't know the circumstances that I know in my head. So I have to kind of lay the groundwork and then think about it. If, as I suspect might be coming, the school asks me to take on more regular classes, the answer to that will be no. I'll substitute if I'm needed, but I'm not going to take on any more classes. I don't want to do that. Mm-mm. The long and short of it is that I don't enjoy. Here we go. I think I found it. I enjoy. I appreciate what comes of work in terms of the discipline and the mindfulness of my life when I'm working. But what I don't appreciate is the work itself. I don't like going to work. I don't like, what is it about it that I don't like? Mm, oblig- mm, the, the wholesale utilization of my time. Hmm, that might be the trick. Having all my days free, I'm left a little bit stirred up. I don't know what to do with myself necessarily, which, as I've said many times, is a huge surprise to me. I always thought I would be someone with so many hobbies and interests that I would have no trouble occupying my days. That's not true. I'm not my wife. My wife can just simply, you know how after dinner some people will like just hang out and enjoy themselves into the evening. And my wife's one of those persons. Can sit and watch a TV show or play a game or just sit with the dog or take a nap, a late night nap before bed. And my wife goes to bed typically around midnight or 1 a.m. and just enjoy the evening. How that for some people like my wife, it's just a really sweet engagement. And there's other people like me who, as soon as my bath is done at about 8:30, well, I'm done. I got to get to bed. I'm either doing something very ambitious or I'm sleeping. There's one of those two things. Retirement for my wife has been, it's like every day, all day after is that after dinner period, right? Of just do whatever the hell, have fun, take a nap, whatever. Don't worry about it. And she doesn't. I'm starting to say that repeat myself here, but I went back to work because I don't know what to do with myself. I know the answer to that is real simple. Simply find something to do with yourself. And I know that here comes possibly if people, the typical response when I've ventured this observation on videos in the past is people start giving me ideas about what to do. You could do this, you could do that, take up knitting, go for a hike, do volunteer work. I'm aware of these things. It's not that I don't know that those things are real, and that I haven't thought about that. It's just I haven't decided what I'm going to do with myself. Still. And now I found work that kind of gave me something to do, but then I'm discovering again. Oh yeah, it's work. It's like finding picking up cigarettes again to give yourself something to do with your fingers if you're nervous, and then oh wow, this is great. The cigarettes give me something to do with my fingers when I'm nervous, and then after a week of doing that, you go, oh yeah, I'm smoking cigarettes again. This is the very thing that I tried to quit doing. Look at the camera. The candle's about to go out. This is my traditional Japanese candle. The other one went out just now. The smoke is rising, but it's down to its bitter end. And I did get candles yesterday, so I can replace them. So that was that. So the most useful thing maybe so far out of this meditation this morning is my conclusion that if, as I suspect will come soon, the school asked me to take on more hours on a permanent basis, the answer to that will be no. With gratitude. Thank you. I appreciate you offering, but I'm just sticking with the classes that I've got, and I'm available to fill in if someone calls in sick. Okay, so that's all that related to yesterday. After I came home in the afternoon, I just had the most delightful time in the garden. I was working. I was doing some, like when you kind of, if you've ever painted a picture with oil painting or what, it doesn't matter what it is, but when you kind of get done and you're kind of touching it up, that's kind of fun to do. I was doing that in the garden yesterday with the vista from the patio through the bamboo forest to the forest beyond the river, and I was picking out select bamboo stalks to remove as I was just tightening up the view. It was a lot of fun. I did notice also that I was able to work here in Japan at 5 p.m. throughout the country. There's a chime that rings through the community to let everybody know that it's time to go home. Kids to go. That it's time to go home. That it's people. That it's workers. That it's ostensibly time to stop working. Haha. Fat chance of that. Anyway, just a couple of weeks ago when I heard that chime, it was darkness was falling. And that's when I take Rudy in to get his dinner. But tonight, or yesterday, the light continued, and I worked a little longer in the garden, and it was just nice, and I can see that coming. I'm really enjoying it. I had the most delightful time in the garden yesterday. We'll light another candle here. Something's making some noise outside. Wind, perhaps. Strange sound. Anyway, and also as I'm clearing the additional bamboo, the sound of the river floats or comes more cleanly through the bamboo forest, and I can hear the river even in here with all the doors and windows closed now. It's just a delicious level. Like if someone had an audio engineer and was saying, well, I want to live in a house, and when we were coming to Japan to buy a house, I was like, I want to live in a house where I can hear water flowing. That was one of the uh, ideas that I had in mind. And when we were looking for houses, I was adjusting that, and we did look at a couple of houses that were close to rivers because they're everywhere here. And I remember one house we looked at, it was too close to the river. It was like a cacophony, and another one, it was too far away. But this one is dialed in. If like a dial just right, you can just hear it, but it doesn't. It's not overwhelming. So I've drifted way off course. The creed consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles. The objectives are, I'm going to go fast because allergies have me a little tired. First objective is to be ready for death. The second objective is to make good use of time. The third is to develop and maintain my principles and objectives so that I have a creed to work to operate on and to continue to use. My fourth objective is to um, respond well to difficult situations. My fifth objective is to apply my creed to my everyday life. My sixth objective is to recognize the limits of my capabilities so that I know what I can and can't do reasonably. And my seventh objective is to do just one thing at a time and do it slowly and carefully. And number eight is to attain and maintain a state of balance in my life in both my body and mind. The principle that I'm going to read today is called arena and utility. And it refers to the venue and forum wherein which we each are living our lives every day of our lives. The arena changes, and the utility are the uh, both the creed that we may apply towards our lives, as well as the epistemology that we use to where flesh out what is true from what is false. Let me light another candle. I need it to read. And arena and utility is one of those that has to cross a page. So I'll have to turn a page in the middle of it. Page 272 of the hardbound edition of Going Alone. Arena and utility. Every place and situation are an opportunity to practice and refine our objectives and principles. Ask yourself at every point through the day what utility and good end might be found for the employment of your reason and philosophy, which must be forever alert, skeptical, and active. Life is the arena. Our objectives and principles are our utilities. I always picture my principles in particular, like here come the allergies, like tool hanging off a workman's utility belt, picking them up and using them one at a time. My most useful tool hanging on my right side is Temperance. All right. So that's that for that. As for today, I'll wrap up here in just a second. No radio exercise this morning, as I need to be at the school by 8:30 for my first lesson. Just 2 lessons this morning, back to back. I can knock those out pretty quick. I'll be done by like very early, and then I'll make my way back. I want to pick up a gift for a neighbor, and who gave me a nice warm pair of gloves for my hands, and I want to get some tea. So I'm going to get her tea. I'm going to go. There's a tea store downtown that I like. I'll get a bag of tea for myself and a bag of tea for her, and thanks for the gloves. And then I'll come home, and then I'm hoping to spend the entirety of the rest of the day in the garden. Uh, yeah, it was Wednesday, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Then I have Thursday. Wow, work is it's not just work. It's work, and allergies are muddling my brain. Let's read the comments. Oh, and then it looks like it's. Is that right? Does it look like it's just hovering just above 0 degrees? It was supposed to be warmer today. Maybe the clear skies will bring the sunshine, but just above 0 degrees. Good morning, Tim. Tim says, Penguin, that is, says, good morning. Weather check for the UK at 8:32 p.m. is 0.4 degrees Celsius and 72% humidity. A glorious, crisp, sunny day. Lunch with an old work colleagues day. Ooh, nice, nice. And you've got a sunshine at last. Well, I wonder how that'll go. Go to lunch with the old work colleagues. You've got my interest on that one. Let us know tomorrow how that if you're here tomorrow, Tim, how that all went. Wishing you all the best with all that. And don't you feel strange a little bit now that we're retired when we talk with people who are still in the working world? It's little, it must be, and I don't know of a better way to say this. It must be the same type of experience that someone who wins the lottery must feel when they go back and talk to people from their life before they win the lottery, which I imagine are roughly the same people, right? Because our circumstances have changed, whereas theirs are still largely the same. And it's easy to, imagine that uh, what the we like I falsely remember the days of work with fond remembrance, as I'm learning now that I it's not all good. And they must think that, wow, being retired must be great, and you have this strange juxtaposition of applied impressions, right? I don't know, I have that feeling when I talk to people who aren't retired, and I especially when I complain about retirement. Elvina, hello, Elvina. Good morning, Kurt. We've had a wonderful, warm, sunny day, 5 degrees Celsius, but hazy. We are expecting a big storm tomorrow with rain, freezing rain and snow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Be careful with all that. Elvina says hello to Tim. Glad to hear it's not raining and that you finally got to enjoy the sun. Yeah, Tim. At last, some sunshine. Robert. Hi, Robert. Robert says hello to myself, Tim, Elvina, and notes that it's currently 4 degrees Celsius and 84% humidity with an air quality of 89 in Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Tim says hello to Elvina. Thanks. Yes, what a relief to have a full, dry day. Nice. Tim says hi to Robert. I don't know if Robert, Tim, are you, Robert, are you, sorry, Tim, Robert, everybody, Elvina. Are any of you starting to see signs of spring where you are? I saw yesterday in the garden the very first little sprouts of green coming out. We've got flowers on the plum trees and even some of the cherry trees already. Can't believe it's going to be March soon. Uh, Tim says hi to Robert. Ray, hi Ray. Ray says morning, Kurt, 5 degrees Celsius, 71% snow on the hills, and a bit chilly. Ah. Ray says hello to Tim, Elvina, and Robert. Robert says hi, hello to Ray. Tim says hi to Ray. Renaissance, hi. Renaissance says hello to everyone. April, hi April. April says hi to everyone. Robert says hi to Renaissance. Robert says hello to April. Renaissance says to hi to Robert. Tim says, I still apply my work practices in retirement, which doesn't mean I'm not enjoying retirement. It just means I still have a similar structure, except it's not work. It's doing things for me that gives pleasure. Oh, that's an interesting thing to do, using the work practices, as you say. Now, I definitely use my project management, toolkit in my own life. In fact, I was using it with my students last week. Some of my students are graduating next month and heading off into the next stage of their life, and these are my most advanced students, and we were project managing uh, the looking at the next 3 years like a project, right? Helping my students to think about what the scope of their interests were, what schedule they might be working off of, and what budget they might have in mind. So it was fun to do that in a way. But Ray says that sounds like you said. Ray says you sound like you need a manager to tell you what you should be doing, but work isn't working because it's working for someone else. I definitely work well having a boss. Yeah, I've always been the case. I spent my whole career as a worker bee. I was offered a job as a manager, and I did become a manager for 2 years, and I fired myself. I went back to my old job and I said, can I have my old job back? I don't like being a manager. And precisely because of what you said there, Ray, I turns out I'm not the one, I'm not suitable to be the one giving out the orders, and I'm the one that needs to be told what to do, and given scope, budget, and a schedule, and being tasked to solve that puzzle. So I went back and I finished my career as a worker bee. So yeah, I think you're right. I do need a manager, but but I don't have one anymore, and I don't want one. So I guess I need to manage myself, and I guess I am to a degree. I certainly manage my YouTube channel. I manage my little business when I had it going. It's I guess in Ray, you're helping me to realize something. I don't do well with, like, my wife can pass vast stretches of time with nothing going on, apparently nothing going on, just at peace, just enjoying herself. I don't know how to do that. I always have to be actively doing something. Ray says maybe writing down what you should be doing and use that as a guide so that you can be your own boss just to keep you busy. In fact, that's pretty much what I do here. The last part of this is the next 24 hours section. So every morning I write down what I plan to do for the next 24 hours, and I keep that on my phone too. I have a list on my phone. So, and that's very helpful. It helps me to knock things off as I go. So yeah, having a list is definitely useful. Elvina says, I enjoy the mental stimulus of my job, and I'm very much an early riser. I like to get up early and get things done so that I can relax in the evening. I'm the same way, Elvina. Tim says, interesting topic. As someone on one of my Facebook retirement clubs posted, I love my job and I will never retire. Wow, that really triggered the retire comments, some of which weren't nice replies. Yeah, I get that too. People tell me that to directly to we'll be talking, and it's an interesting. Isn't that interesting? How I've seen myself viscerally kind of respond that way, Tim. It's like a it's like an affront. It's like it would be like someone saying to the lottery winner, right? Well, I'd never want to win the lottery. If was given the chance to win the lottery, I'd say to hell with that. I'd rip the ticket up, right? And then you'd be like, what? But I think there's a lot to that, right? There's something to that. And I've found also that there's one person in my life in particular who said that to me. And that person was, in hindsight, I think that they're right. Because in a way, there's kind of a maturity and a wisdom in what they're saying. Like, for example, if you know yourself well enough to know that you don't know what to do, okay, sorry guys if I'm going to repeat something I've said before. I worked with a woman in my last job who had been employed for 45, I think she's going on for like 45 years, like 40, maybe it wasn't 45. Maybe she just crossed over the 40-year mark, okay? And if she retired, she would get 125 or 130% of her salary for the rest of her life. Once you pass the 30-year mark, you're kind of going into positive territory, right? Because it keeps on accruing the benefit. And I would talk to her and ask her why. She had the same job I had, and I would, why are you still working after 40 years? And she told me very clearly. She says, I know myself well enough that I'm. She said, here at work, I'm at the top of my career. I'm respected. I have a senior position. I feel I'm very fulfilled by what I do. I like my work, and at home I have none of that. My husband is dead. Um, my kids are grown. I know myself well enough, and in hindsight now, I'm going, that's a wise woman. She knows, what would Socrates say? Above all things, know thyself. She knows, she knows that retirement would be a deadly place for her. I mean, I'm underlying deadly. I mean, it really is a deadly place for some of us. Maybe someone that has that kind of inner knowledge, like this other person I was telling you about, this person that told me to my face that they'd never retire, and for largely the same reasons, because they know themselves well enough. And I kind of like looked at that askance, like, why wouldn't you retire? And then here I am sitting there saying, yeah, maybe that's wisdom for those that know themselves well enough. Tim says hi to Renaissance in April. April says, oops, I was behind for a minute. Oh, okay. Tim says, a strange one I've heard is some people are good at finding nothing to do and enjoy doing it. That's my wife. She's gotten into puzzles. I gave her a puzzle. I think it was for well, it was sometime back in 2025. Big 1,000-piece puzzle. She knocked that out. Now she's just buying puzzles one after another. I'll peek in and she'll just be sitting there, on the table we've got in the living room there, and she's got the puzzle out and she's got her tea and then she's got her dog and she's just looking so like she's having so much fun. I That's not in me. I don't have that. I need a project of something to do, and I kind of admire and I'm jealous a little bit by the peace that Yumiko can find in just doing a puzzle. Evelyn says, hello, Evelyn. Hi. Good to see you. Says hi to everyone. I'm sorry I'm late to the party. Um, no, you didn't say sorry. You said, hi, everyone. I'm late to the party. It was good to see you. Glad you're here, Evelyn. Missed you the last day or so. Tim says hi to Evelyn. Alvina says, have a wonderful day, everyone. Get out and enjoy the weather if you can. Will do. April says, yes. And you too, Elvina, be careful out there in the cold, in the the rain and the sleet and the whatever. April says, Yes, it seemed like with all the classes you've covered, it might get to be too much if they keep that up. Would defeat the purpose of being productive just to keep busy versus going back to work. Yeah, that's a good line or description you've given there, April. It's um, and you've opened my eyes with that comment because your comment about just to keep busy. Would keeping busy then just me hiding from the problem or the challenge more likely, right? Would that keeping busy just you know what you think you've uncovered something for me, April? Am I going back to work so I don't have to face the problem of being free? I think that's very likely the case. That's sobering to think about. Hmm. And working just 2 days a week, kind of is a little, a few hours is kind of a band aid, but not enough of the medicine to have the side effects of the medicine. But this week of working all every day this week is like it's like here, spooning this medicine down my throat. Well, enough, enough. Thank you, April. I really do appreciate that eye opening insight. I'm going to say it back again to myself, and maybe even write it down. Am I working to avoid being free? I think that's enough of a summation of it. Am I working to avoid being free? Wow. Thank you, April. Tim says, sorry, I had lunch with my former work colleagues today. Oh, okay, so you did. Went well. Oh, that's right. It's the end of the day for you. And was nice to catch up. It's just a select group of colleagues whom I get on well with. Nice. Did you notice? I don't know how to ask this question, but have you noticed yourself change relative to them? Like I feel like mm, I'm off my game, and when I watch people that do what I used to do, I feel like I couldn't do that anymore. I wonder if you felt any of that, Tim, or if you still feel on your game. Maybe because you continue doing your game every day, as you said. Ray says, yes, signs of spring. Okayama House, 100-year-old plum tree. Trees are blooming. Wow. In Washington, cherry trees is just starting to bud, and the frogs and flies are out. Nice. Wow, you've got 100-year-old plum trees in your house in Okayama. Nice. Tim says, I noticed some spring flowers, crocuses, and snowdrops. No daffodils as yet. Perhaps still too cold. Hello, Whiskey. Good to see you. It's been a while. Hello, mate. Been a while. Have to catch up on your developments. Well, it's good to see you here. Robert says hello to Whiskey. Tim says, unsure if I have worked for my, unsure I could have worked for myself. I don't think I would have been a good boss to myself. Would have had the self, wouldn't have had the self discipline. Whiskey says, are Japanese wives managers, micromanagers? Maybe. Well, results vary. I mean, everyone is different, as you know. Um, Humans are humans. Um, my particular wife, Japanese or not, is definitely not a manager of any sort. She just she trusts me. That's the operative word, to trust me. She trusts me to fulfill my duty, and I trust her to fulfill her duty. And our duties are very well defined in our lives. So it's not so no management necessary. She's just kind of like Captain Picard telling for his first officer get make it so, but no need to make it so. No need to even say it because I have assumed and I fulfill and I pursue and I fulfill my duties based on my own assessment of what they are. What Yumiko and I simply do is we discuss the long term object of our lives, where our lives are headed, where we want to be as a couple going forward, and as parents going forward, and then we just we go separate to our work, our battle stations, and we execute our tasks. And I don't cross over into her territory, and she doesn't cross into my territory. We just expect each other to do our job. That's how our marriage works. Renaissance says hello to Tim. Tim says, I think some people in retirement have the view is why on earth would you carry on working if you don't need to have to. I think that's hard for some to comprehend, but we are all different. Yeah, yeah, I guess so. And maybe also it's an affront if you're struggling a little bit in retirement. It's an affront to, well, maybe if you're not even struggling, affront to the raw black and white idea of work and freedom, work and freedom, work and freedom, right? And then we have it so one-sided that it's hard to imagine any blend. But the few people that have told me the same thing when I talk about that is, I've felt a small little visceral, like like I want to respond and say like, how dare you, how dare you, throw aspersions on the good name of retirement, right? It's like, where did that come from? What insecurity do I have that brought that up? Renaissance says to me, can you use the water from the river next to your garden, or do you need some kind of formal permission? No, you can use it. A lot of the farmers around here do. There's farmers that have little ropes on buckets that they go down and do it. Back in the past, some of the farmers would run pipes into the water, 100 yards up the stream, so that the elevation would be higher, and it would cause a constant trickle and flow down into the garden that they could then put on a tap, and you'd have like tap water on demand. But that requires putting a little infrastructure in. You couldn't do that anymore. That was something from like the 50 years ago. But those infrastructure are still out there. I see them sometimes. There's one that's running all the time. But yeah, you can go down and grab a bucket of water, no problem. What they don't want you doing is messing with the infrastructure, like rocks and stuff like that, doing anything like that. Tim says, perhaps define what freedom means, what its purpose is. Ooh, okay. So I think that's a very interesting one. For my wife, freedom for her would be the liberty to do the liberty to fulfill her obligations, which are few at this point in life, fulfill her obligations, and to pass her time in peace. For me, freedom would be to, and I'm here. Look at me. You caught me, Tim. I have to think about it a little bit. Put on the spot. Freedom would be to make good use of my time in accordance with the values that I've laid out in going alone. And I have a couple of projects. It's not that I don't have projects. I do have a couple of projects, but none of them are so all encompassing. Maybe that's what I need to do is a project that's all encompassing and engorging. Thank you, Tim. Let me write that one down too. An engaging project or two. Maybe that's what I need, is a project that like is so important and interesting that I'd be like, what am I thinking of working a part-time job? It's taking away a couple of hours when I could be doing this project. Thank you, Tim. Boy, April and Tim, I really appreciate your well considered observations. Thank you. You've helped me. April says, keeping busy like your garden work, just so you're not bored. Like I said, I think my dad died from boredom because of the forced retirement, but you still want to retire and do something. Yeah, I agree. Now the garden work is something more akin to meditation than anything else. There's something that happens out there that's hard to describe. It's like when you were a kid and your mom would send you out to play, and remember that feeling, that being outdoors and just doing. That's exactly what being in the garden is like, but with a little less stimulation, right? It's a different species of animal. April says, but not into full-time work. You want it to be busy for yourself. I think I missed something there. Let me read the first sentence from April here. I think they go together. April says, keeping busy like your garden work, just so you're not bored. Like I said, I think my dad died from boredom because of the forced retirement, but you still want to retire and do something, but not back into full-time work. You want it to be busy for yourself. Oh, I get the gist of what you're saying. Yeah. And I'm sorry that your father struggled with boredom after retirement. That's definitely a dangerous thing. April says, like, it's okay as long as you like the work as a hobby. And in measured doses, right? Tim says, I think I mentioned before, I definitely see the work in my old work colleagues, and I see the retirement in me. Ooh, that's a good way to put it. There's definitely that seeing the work or the retirement in us. There's definitely that change in me. I feel I'm not connected to the work world anymore. Interesting seeing one and the other. And I see like the young people that I work with at my job, I see just the brimming with potential. I look out at them, they're 20, 21 years old, just their lives are in front of them, and they're a little bit scared and confused and excited all at once. And see, that's interesting, Tim, seeing whatever it is in the others, right? Ray says, maybe controversial, but I don't seek freedom. I seek peace, peace with oneself and peace with my environment. Oh, that sounds like a tale as old as time, right? Isn't that what the Buddha was kind of after? Peace through the disconnect, maybe. Renaissance says to Ray, that is interesting. Not sure if I will seek anything once I retire, but still live with intent. Very interesting observations from everybody. There's Patrick Fox. Hi, Softy P, and all greetings from the workaday grind where I have the good life medication streaming and giving me encouragement to press on a bit. Carry on, Patrick. Yes, indeed. And sending you good uh, mm-hmm, encouragement from this world to yours. Tim says, freedom for me, I think, is doing everything and anything, any time of the day, with no restrictions or limitations to hold me back, that my previous work life held me back. I think you should put that on a baseball cap. That's retired and doing everything and anything, any time of the day, with no restrictions or limitations to hold me back from my previous work life held me back. That would make a good, people would be squinting at that. What does that say? All right, I've reached the end of comments, and I think I better wrap up and get myself off to uh, work. All right, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for all of your feedback and comments, and especially to April and Tim for the things that I actually needed to write down. Like April helped me to see that, am I working to avoid being free? Wow, that's a wild eye opener. And why the hell am I doing that? What have I failed to figure out at almost age 62 about freedom that I'm running from? And and also Tim suggested having an engaging project. uh Everybody saying have a wonderful day. Thank you, Renaissance. Thank you, Ray. April says have a great day, and everyone. And Tim says have a great day. Keep thinking. We'll do. I can't seem to stop doing that. I seem to be possessed with constant, incessant thought. I wish I could just turn it off sometimes. Well, that day is coming, right? Someday. See, I'd slip death in one way or another, right? Right at the end. Be safe, but not too safe, everybody. And um, and to one last thing I wanted to say to Patrick, carry on, keep at it. All right, bye bye.